Okay, hi, we're going to talk about how it is that I multiply polynomials given the method that I'm going to use today is distributive method. I have three methods that I'm going to go through. The first one is going to be called the distributive method. The next method I'm going to talk about is something I call the grid method, and then the other one is not really a name to it, it's just kind of really applying the distributive and grid method without rearranging anything. So I'll have 3 videos up, so feel free to check them out. Yeah, so here we go. Let's try the distributive method. So the distributive method is basically just saying that you have some value multiplying some value in a parenthesis. And if I base this off the idea is, say I get rid of this x plus 2, when I would have had a 4 here and said 2x minus 5, what I would have done here is I would have taken this 4 and I would have multiplied each term in here. And I would have done that in my head. I wouldn't have wrote out the expression. But say I write out the expression. It would have been 2x, okay, times 4 minus, okay, 5 times 4. Okay? And notice what I have here is that I'm multiplying 4 by both of these terms. So the distributive method states that if I have some quantity, okay, because 2x is a quantity, multiplying another quantity, that what I can do is I can write the one quantity as a multiplication of each individual term in the other quantity. So what that means is here's my quantity of 4, and in this quantity I just make this a multiple of every term on the inside. So I'm just saying 4 multiply each term on the inside. So that's the idea that we're going to apply to this x plus 2. Granted, it says x plus 2, and it looks like you should just do the x's, multiply them together, and the 2's are multiplied together. But the important thing is that you have to understand that x plus 2 is a quantity that is put together for a reason. And it can't be separated for this particular problem. So what I'm going to take a look at is I'm actually going to write this quantity of x plus 2 as a multiplication of each term inside here. So I'm going to write out 2x times this value of x plus 2 and negative 5 times this value of x plus 2. Going back to the distributive method. So let's go ahead and do that. So I take 2x and I'm writing it as a multiplication of x plus 2. So essentially what I'm distributing here is not just one number or one term, but I'm distributing an actual quantity, which is okay. Because the distributive property, like I said, just states that you can take some value and set it up as a multiplication of each term inside of that group. So I have the 2x set up as a multiplication of x plus 2. The last thing I need to do is set up negative 5 as a multiplication of x plus 2. Now, what I've got here is that I've got 2x times the quantity of x plus 2 minus 5 times the quantity of x plus 2. And then to finish off this problem, all I'm going to do is actually do this monomial distribution of 2x times x, which gives me 2x squared. And I'm going to take the 2x times the positive 2, which gives me positive 4x. I'm going to distribute my negative 5, so negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. So the last thing I need to check here are there any like terms? And in this case, when you do this distributive method, a lot of the times what you're going to find here is that it works out pretty nicely that all your like terms are going to end up being very close to each other. And in this case, what you can take a look at is that positive 4x and negative 5x are my like terms, and they're not only in the middle, okay, but they're right next to each other. So this 2x squared, there's no other like terms, so I get 2x squared. All I have to do is now combine my like terms. So in this box, what does it create? Well, positive 4x and negative 5x makes a negative 1x. And again, you don't have to write the 1. You can just leave it as a negative x. And then I write minus 10 on the end. And what I've got here is my simplified polynomial multiplied out using the distributive property. Let's do another one really quickly, but the answer to this one is 2x squared minus x minus 10. So let's do another one very quickly. And all I'm going to do here is I'm not going to change the x plus 2. I'm just going to change what the second polynomial would have been. So instead of doing a binomial times a binomial, I'm going to do a binomial, which is just the value of 2 terms, multiplying it by some trinomial. So I'm going to do x squared plus 4x minus 1. Okay, so again, distributive method just states that if I have some value multiplying, okay, another quantity that I can set up the one quantity as a multiple of each term in the other. So all I'm going to do here is set this quantity up as a multiplication of each one of these terms inside there. So to go ahead and do that, I'm just going to say x squared, okay, and I'm going to multiply it by x plus 2. I'm going to put plus 4x in parentheses x plus 2, so there's my multiplication, and negative 1 times x plus 2, and there's my other multiplication. And then I'm just going to go ahead and now deal with the monomial distribution to each one of these binomials. So here we go. X squared times x is x cubed. Let me write that a little bit bigger. So x squared times x is x cubed. X squared plus times positive 2 is a positive 2x squared. Plus 4x times x, this is a positive 4x squared. 4x times positive 2 is positive 8x. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. And negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. So again, the nice thing that I have here using this distributive method is what you're going to find is that my like terms, when you see here, are going to be basically right next to each other, and that works out nice for this one. Like I said, it won't always be like that, but it works out nicely for this one. So I'm just going to combine my like terms to finish this problem off. So I get x cubed, okay, and then I have plus. So now 2x squared plus 4x squared is 6x squared. And remember here we don't add the exponents, okay, because this is addition and exponents are a multiplication property. So I'm just saying how many x squares do I have here? I've got 2 and 4, which makes 6. So plus, so I have positive 8 and negative 1, which makes positive 7. And there's an x, and then minus 2. And what I've got here is that I've got my answer of x cubed plus 6x squared plus 7x minus 2. And that there is what we call the distributive method, or what I call the distributive method. And I hope that it helps with whatever homework you're doing. And if you don't like this method or you find it confusing, check out one of my other videos, and I'm going to talk about the grid method.